So good afternoon, you guys. I want to talk about All Elite Wrestling, and the Blood and Guts show is actually coming up in late July. And I've done a video just talking about like how there's a lot of people who want to see Blood and Guts actually become a pay-per-view because it would definitely make a lot of money. It's definitely, a good time to have a pay-per-view like that because it's right before the Wembley Stadium show. So obviously if you do something like that, what's going to happen is it's going to create a lot of hype for Wembley Stadium. Everybody has to go through some blood and guts to get to Wembley Stadium, the same way people have to go through the Elimination Chamber and the Royal Rumble to go to WrestleMania, really. So it really, really works like to do something like that. And I do think that one big thing about the Blood and Guts match is like who's going to actually face in that match, and who should face in that match. I do think that obviously it makes sense to have Jack Perry, Okada, and the Young Bucks. You can put Hangman Adam Page in there, or you can actually even put Will Ospreay or Samoa Joe. But I was thinking for a long time Samoa Joe, but like I've done fantasy videos and booking for a couple of months, and since Samoa Joe and Hook are becoming a tag team, you can't really put him in that role. I would say like Ospreay would be a shock just to turn him heel, so you can kind of give him a direction for Wembley Stadium, or it should be Adam Page, or it should be a heel, or it should be like maybe Kill Switch or somebody else that's like that can kind of benefit from that. I think what I would say for the heel, it should be Adam Page number one. You can do Kill Switch, so you can get to Kill Switch and versus Christian Cage, or you can do somebody from the Don Callis family. And I think the third person would be Will Ospreay because you should turn him heel so you have like a momentum with him. For the baby faces, I would want to see the Acclaimed. No Billy Gunn, just Max Caster and Anthony Bowens to create new stars. They did well in the tag team division. I want to see them become like the New Day, where they become single stars. I was actually thinking like another person that I would have is definitely Shane Taylor Promotions. And the reason why I say this is that Anthony Ogogo has some popularity because he's having a baby. And then also the other thing too is that, Shane Taylor is one of those big muscular men that he's actually a little lost in the roster. They need to do a lot more with him. And when I see people like Shane Taylor or even like Matt Taven, like they keep on showing up every single week, they keep doing what they want to do, or even like Brian Cage, I can respect that because there's a lot of people that would just sit at home and collect a paycheck, really. So why not make Shane Taylor Promotions a bigger deal? Why not do something like say, okay, the Elite are going to take a trios title off of the Bullet Club Gold, and then you have Shane Taylor Promotions versus the EVPs for a trios title, the AEW Trios title, or a six-man tag team title. Like the Trios division could be a bigger deal, really. So that would be a way to kind of get there. The other person I want to see in that is Daniel Garcia, because Daniel Garcia, I like his feud with Christian. He could be a more serious wrestler than just doing that that stupid ass dance that he does, So you can turn him into a serious babyface, and I think he'll get over in a big way. And it seems like, he had to be, he got injured in a car crash, I believe, a few years ago, but he came back and he's like bigger and better. So I think he does well in serious matches. The next person I would say Orange Cassidy. He needs to transition from the comedy kicks to a more serious wrestler. He's at the point where that needs to work. The next two people I would say is a little worrisome. Bryan Danielson. He's been in way too many like big spot matches, but I can understand if he wants to be a part-timer, why not just go for one more hardcore type match and just, and end it that way. And then, as I said, you need to kind of have some wrestlers in this match that people want to see. Obviously, I would say that the Young Bucks have their own fan base, and Jack Perry do. I'm not as a major deal as an Adam Copeland or something like that, but obviously there are people that like the Elite. But you need to have some people on the other side that people are going to like. I would say you can have Bryan Danielson. The next person you can have is Jon Moxley because he's a hardcore guy. You can set up Jon Moxley versus Jack Perry for the IWGP title because they both wrestle Japanese promotions. Imagine teasing that. Imagine how that would upset people. The next person you can have is Swerve Strickland because honestly, I think that what you can do at Forbidden Door is you can have Ospreay turn heel, take the title off of Swerve Strickland, and then have Swerve Strickland be a title chaser and be ruthless and all that, really. And you can set up something where you have blood and guts, And you can have Bryan Danielson in that match. You can have Swerve actually save Bryan Danielson, and then they set up a triple threat. It's Bryan Danielson versus Swerve versus Will Ospreay at Wembley Stadium. Like, that would be a really good main event match. Or the other thing you can do is you can actually have MJF in that. You can have MJF and then he wins, and you can have MJF versus Bryan Danielson versus Ospreay, or Bryan Danielson, Ospreay, Swerve, and MJF in a fatal four-way. And I think that they would be able to do that. But you can definitely have the Blood and Guts match to kind of have like 2 and 2 on other teams and all that. So there's a lot that you can really do, really. But I think the big thing is building up new stars. And that's one of my things with AEW, is that I think they need to build their next generation. I do think that, as I said, the Acclaimed are kind of the next generation. They can be world champions, but they really need to kind of be in something that's going to make them show what they can do, and have like a one-on-one type of thing, really. The next thing that I would say is there are other teams that are a little lost in the water, like Shane Taylor Promotions, where they could be a good trios team. You can even do something like you can have Mark Briscoe in this match. And Mark Briscoe, as I said, that I think that he's too comical. You can actually have a match where he has a long duration showing what he can do as a single star. Because the other issue is that you would have to watch Ring of Honor to see him defend the championship. So there's not really a lot of exposure on him, or there's not really a big moment on him, really. Or, as I said, if you do that to Daniel Garcia, that would be good. If you bring Ricky Starks into that, because Ricky Starks should be on the path of being a world champion. What about Daniel Garcia? What about if Samoa Joe and Hook are in this, and you give a lot of hit on Hook, and they said, like, okay, since he won this, one day he's going to be a world champion. Or you do Hook versus Jack Perry one more time at Wembley Stadium, and the result of that match is the winner's going to face, the champion at All Out, really. There's a lot that you can really do with this. But I really think that it needs to set up, maybe who's going to be the winner, and who really needs a match that shows that what they can really, really do. And I think that, as I said, one of the directions of AEW should always be building that next generation. That's one of the reasons why they suffer. There's a lot of people afloat, really. So I think that, as I said, I think the big people that can benefit from this is definitely Shane Taylor Promotions, because, as I said, they're over right now. You have Shane Taylor a little lost, but he can build himself up as this powerhouse wrestler. You can have them turn babyface. You can actually have Anthony Ogogo turn babyface. He's having a baby. People are talking about that. You could also do something where you have the Acclaimed as single stars, because they do have the charisma, but they need the moments to show that they can handle themselves as single stars. And you can also do something like Daniel Garcia, really, and Orange Cassidy. So there's a bunch of people that you can do to really stand out in this Blood and Guts match, really, build new stars. And that's kind of where AEW needs to go, really, because, as I said, what's the plan for the future? If it's just to have great matches, that's one thing, but you have to kind of have a purpose and a story and build new people. If you have this match, what would happen if Adam Copeland? What happens if you have Jack Perry be the TNT champion, and then what happens is that you have at All Out, Jack Perry versus Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland gets his TNT championship back, and then at Wrestle Dream, it's Adam Copeland versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT championship. And you see Daniel Garcia go through this hell, and it's like the mentor versus the teacher type of thing. There's so much they can actually really do. They can set up a lot of great things. So I really hope that they just really consider who's going to be in this, and they consider centering it around new stars, and centering it around the fact that when they have like these people and they have to overcome this obstacle, who should actually win this, or should they come close to winning. So there's a lot of things that they can really set up. And as I said, one thing about Ospreay is that if he actually joins the EVPs, that would be a great thing, because he and Don Callis and the EVPs can become this super faction, and it could actually make them, it could be a good thing, because then when you have Death Before Dishonor, you can have a bunch of matches with the Don Callis family, and then they can actually be like, okay, since you help win Blood and Guts, they're going to have this big celebration when the Don Callis family wins a bunch of titles, and if one of them doesn't win the title, you can do something like kick them out of the faction, or be like, okay, you're going to get a second chance, and the person who actually got the upset victory is actually going to pay the price, really. There's so much that they can just really do with this. So I just hope that they pick people, and it's going to lead to bigger stories, and I hope they're creating some new stars out of whoever's going to be in the Blood and Guts match.